Hello children, today we are going to revise physical and chemical changes and also lesson respiration. First, physical and chemical changes. What are physical changes? A substance undergoes changes only in the physical properties such as shape, size, color. Okay. So, as I told you, a substance undergoes changes only in the physical properties such as shape, size, color and state, and no new substance is formed is called physical changes. And what are chemical changes? What are chemical changes? A chemical change occurs when two substances react chemically to form a substance. A new substance is formed. This is what? Chemical change. Now children, we are going to discuss about characteristics of chemical changes. First is evolution of gas. First is evolution of gas. In some chemical reaction, gases evolve like hydrogen, oxygen and carbon dioxide. Some example I am going to discuss. First is when metal react with acids, it gives out, it forms salt and hydrogen gas. Okay, so and we always write arrow when the gas evolves. One more equation I am going to tell you. The reaction in which carbon dioxide is coming out when copper carbonate is react with hydrochloric acid. This is salt and reacts with acid, it forms copper chloride, carbon dioxide, water and carbon dioxide. So I have told you about two gases which evolve during the reaction. Now second is change of color. Like during chemical reaction, change of color also takes place. I am telling you one example like copper carbonate. It is green in color. Copper carbonate, it is green in color. When we heat it, it forms copper oxide, it is black. So change in color takes place during reaction and it also gives out carbon dioxide. Third is formation of precipitation. Like what is precipitation? When two chemicals in solution form, when they react and an insoluble substance is formed, it settles down as a precipitate and we always mention it with write it with a down arrow. I am telling you the equation. Iron chloride when react with ammonium hydroxide, it gives iron hydroxide plus ammonium chloride. Okay, so this is the reaction. Okay, and here this iron hydroxide, this is formed, this is settles down at the bottom and we mark it with the down arrow. Now next is change in energy. During some reaction heat is evolved and in some reaction heat is taken during the reaction. The first in which heat is evolved, we call that exothermic reaction. Exothermic reaction when we write this reaction, we write plus heat. Like in case of carbon, when carbon heated, okay, in the presence of oxygen, it forms carbon dioxide gas, and because we have heated it, so we are going to write it heat. Sorry, exothermic means the gases or heat is evolved. So when we burn carbon in the presence of oxygen, carbon dioxide gas is formed and heat is evolved. Okay, and when water is added to quicklime, CaO plus H2O, okay, when water is added to quicklime, heat is evolved. What is formed? Calcium hydroxide, slaked lime is formed and heat is evolved. When heat is evolved, we write plus heat. Okay, and such reactions are called exothermic. Now, second type of reaction are endothermic. In this, heat is for reaction, heat is required. Okay, we heat, then the chemical reaction takes place. Okay, so in endothermic reaction, what we do, either we write down the right side minus heat, okay, like carbon when react with sulfur. When carbon react with sulfur, it gives carbon disulfide, and this reaction takes place only when we heat the mixture. Okay, when we heat them, so this side we write minus heat. In endothermic reaction, we write on left side minus heat. Okay, and right side, if we are writing here, then we are going to write plus heat. Okay, now change of state. During some chemical reaction, change of state takes place. Like water. Water is liquid. When electrolysis of water takes place, water converts into hydrogen and oxygen gas. Okay, so this is liquid state and these are in gaseous form. So in some chemical reaction, state of component changes. Now type of chemical reaction we are going to discuss. There are different kinds of chemical reactions. First is combination reaction. Combination reaction, two things combine and form third compound, like Mg plus O2. So two elements they combine and they give third, that is 2MgO. So this is called combination reaction. Second is decomposition reaction. One compound breaks into two or more elements, that is called decomposition reaction. Decomposition reaction. So in decomposition reaction, like calcium hydroxide is there, it breaks into, when we heat it breaks into, on heat, when calcium hydroxide is heated, calcium hydroxide is broken into calcium oxide, and or we say decompose into calcium hydroxide and water. Okay, so this is what decomposition reaction. Now more reactions are there. Next is displacement reaction. Displacement reaction. In this reaction, children, one metal replaces the other metal from the salt. Like very good example is copper sulfate plus iron. And one thing we need to keep in mind, this only can replace this when this is more stronger than copper. Okay, if we say that reaction takes place when iron sulfate is there and copper is there, because copper is less stronger than iron sulfate, then here reaction will not take place. Just you see, iron is stronger than the, more reactive than the copper, so it is going to replace copper, and what is formed? Iron sulfate. Okay, so it is tells this is displacement reaction. Displacement reaction, there are two types, single displacement and double displacement. Single displacement, I told you. In double displacement, the example is neutralization reaction. All you know, when acid reacts with base. This is double displacement. Here, this is going to displace this, okay, and this is going to displace this. Just you see what is going to be formed. Na is going to displace H, and NaCl salt is going to be formed, and here H is going to displace NaH2O is formed. So two places are displaced, that is why we call it displacement reaction. And precipitation reaction is also like example of double displacement. We have already discussed that. Now next we are going to discuss oxidation and reduction reaction. Oxidation and reduction. What is oxidation reaction? Oxidation reaction is a chemical reaction that involves addition of oxygen or removal of hydrogen. So here just you see in this case addition of oxygen is taking place, and in other one you see removal of hydrogen is taking place. Okay, like from this hydrogen is removed. From this compound, hydrogen is removed and it is formed 2HCl. Okay, so oxidation reaction is this. Second is reduction reaction. In reduction reaction, what happens, children? Reduction is a chemical reaction that involves addition of hydrogen, or opposite of this, addition of hydrogen and removal of oxygen. So in this case, addition of hydrogen, Cu plus H2O, addition of hydrogen is taking place, and removal of oxygen, from this oxygen is removed, okay, and addition of hydrogen is taking place. Now children, we are going to discuss crystallization. Crystallization is a process to purify any substance. If we want to get in pure form, we use crystallization method. In a crystal, atom or molecules are arranged in a regular pattern. We can obtain crystal of common substances such as salt or alum from a solution of these substances in water by a process called crystallization. Okay children, now this chapter is over. We are going to discuss respiration. Okay, respiration. First we are going to discuss respiration. The two main processes of respiration are, wait a minute. Respiration. Two processes are involved in respiration. First is, we say external respiration or breathing. What is external respiration? external respiration, or this is internal or cellular. Internal respiration. What is external respiration? Or we call it breathing also, taking in air rich in oxygen and giving out air rich in carbon dioxide. This is what external respiration. What is internal respiration? Using oxygen by the cell to break down to food to release energy. Internal respiration occurs in the body cell. So what is the like chemical reaction takes place, like in all the cells, the food is there, this is glucose broken by oxygen. It gives 6 CO2 plus 6 H2O plus large amount of energy. Okay, so this is internal respiration, and here only breathing takes place. Okay, in plants respiration takes place through stomata, exchange of gases, and children some plants like some other plants also respire. As I told you, stomata, exchange of gases takes place through stomata, but in some roots also they respire to get energy from that oxygen. The food is there in the roots and oxygen breaks the food, and they get the energy from that food. So sometimes the roots are submerged, they are like water logging is there. In some places the plants are there where water logging is there. So that in those places what happens? Roots come up, okay, like mangrove plants. So root also respire. Now we are going to discuss, and children, one more thing, respiration process is just opposite of photosynthesis. Now we are going to discuss respiration in different animals. Like some microorganisms like amoeba, paramecium, they respire through their membrane. Okay, they respire through their membrane, cell membrane, by the process of diffusion. And in earthworm, it respired through its moist skin. Now next, some respire through their like they get the air through their spiracles, like in insects. Okay, insects such as cockroach, grasshopper have opening called spiracles on their bodies. Air enters through these openings and reaches all part of the body through trachea. This way they take the air. Now the like fish, it is aquatic. It breathes through. It takes oxygen through gills. Already I have explained that their gills are having very rich supply of blood, and when water washes, they gulp water. When the water washes their gills, the oxygen dissolves in water. It diffuses into the blood, and carbon dioxide, it comes out by the process of diffusion. This way it respires, it breathes, or we can say it takes oxygen. And in human being, we breathe through, like we have for respiration we have lungs, and breathing system, we have proper respiratory system. We breathe through our nostrils. Okay, I am going to tell you the human respiratory system. Nose is there, we breathe through, and then it goes to nasal passages. From nasal passage it goes to the trachea. From trachea it goes to the bronchi. Okay, and bronchi, this bronchi is divided into several small tubes, and we call that bronchioles. And each bronchioles open into balloon-like structure that is called alveoli. Alveoli, here there is a very rich supply of capillaries. When we take air, what happens? It goes into alveoli, and exchange of gases takes place in alveoli. In the blood vessels, carbon dioxide rich blood is there in capillaries, and by the process of diffusion, carbon dioxide comes out and oxygen goes in. This way purification of blood takes place in lungs, and carbon dioxide rich air comes out through bronchioles to the bronchi to the trachea and nasal passage, and then comes out through the nostril. Okay. So this way air enters. Now I am going to tell you about the cellular respiration. The blood takes place oxygen to all parts of the body. This blood, oxygen rich blood, it goes to all part of the body and it gives oxygen to each and every cell. Okay, and then what happened? I told you a few minutes back, the food is there in the cell and oxygen is there. This oxygen is broken, this oxygen breaks this food and gives out carbon dioxide, water, and releases large amount of energy. Okay. There are two types of respiration. First is aerobic respiration and other is anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration, as it has name, it takes place in the presence of oxygen. Like I have just now told you, this is aerobic respiration. It takes place in the presence of oxygen. Second is anaerobic respiration. Some microorganisms, they also respire in the absence of oxygen, and they give out energy, but the amount of energy is less. Like this is food, no oxygen is there. Like bacteria and blue green algae, they break it in alcohol and carbon dioxide. Okay, it forms alcohol and carbon dioxide, and the amount of energy is very less. Energy is released but amount is less. Okay, so I am going to tell you the difference between aerobic and anaerobic. Here the oxygen is required, here oxygen is not required. Here the end products are carbon dioxide and water. Here the end product is alcohol. Energy is released but the amount of energy is more here, and here it is less. Now what is the difference between combustion and cellular respiration? This is aerobic respiration, is also cellular respiration. Combustion is a fast process. Cellular respiration is a slow process. Okay, it's a slow process. It occurs at high temperature. Combustion occurs at high temperature. All you know, when we burn anything, it requires high temperature, but respiration takes at body temperature. It occurs anywhere, combustion, but it occurs only in the living cell. Okay, energy is released in a single step in combustion, but it is released in many steps. Okay, so now one more thing I would like to tell you. What is the difference between breathing and cellular respiration? Breathing is a physical process. This is what? Chemical process. What is the difference between breathing? Breathing, all you know, it's a physical process, and respiration is chemical process. It takes place outside the cell, like in the nostril, outside the cell. It takes place inside the cell. In this breathing, no energy is released, but in this case, energy is released. Okay. Now, sometime, you know, anaerobic respiration takes place in our body also, when when we do vigorous exercise, so what happens? That time body requires large amount of energy. Okay. But since they do not get sufficient amount of oxygen, so muscles they start respiring anaerobically. In that case, what is found? Lactic acid. This lactic acid accumulate in our muscles. So the accumulation of lactic acid in the body causes muscular cramps. That is why we sometimes have cramps after heavy exercise. We can get relief from these cramps by massaging the affected part or by having a hot bath. So children, that's all for today. All the best for your exam.